Honestly, wearing a suit sucks. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage. I've reviewed almost 500 Indian movies on the channel, and because this year marks the centenary of legendary Bengali filmmaker Mrinal Sen, I decided to watch and review a few of his films. Until a few weeks ago, I have only seen one of his later works, Ek Din Achanak, which I liked a lot. But then I watched Bhuvan, which is regarded as one of the movies, or the movie, that has pioneered the Indian New Wave. And I absolutely loved it. And now I continued my exploration of Mrinal Sen's work with his 1971 Bengali language drama Interview. And again, I was thrilled. This was such a cinematic treat. Again, it was a bit unfortunate in what quality the movie was available in. I watched it on Amazon Prime, and while the image itself was pretty decent, sometimes really crisp even, I'm also pretty sure that it was cropped at the top and bottom and should not have been in this widescreen format. And the sound was also pretty rough. Still, nothing too bad or serious from stopping it to still be a remarkable film to watch though. Interview tells a simple story of a young man named Ranjit, who is heading to an important job interview but who just can't get hold of a suit for that special occasion. It is set in Kolkata, and the movie is considered to be the first in Mrinal Sen's so-called Kolkata trilogy, with the other two being Calcutta 71 and Padatik, which I plan to watch as well in the future. And because it's dealing with themes like unemployment, middle class, and at least in the background some kind of social unrest, it certainly reminded me of Satyajit Ray's film Pratidvandi, or The Adversary, which was released 1 year earlier and which was also the first in Ray's own loose Kolkata trilogy. Both films are remarkable, and also quite different in tone. Now, I'm of course no expert when it comes to the filmmaking of Mrinal Sen. Hopefully I might be one day, so I can only compare to the few other ones I have seen and assume this must have been his particular style of filmmaking, or at least in that specific era. Like Bhuvan, Interview has a very distinct experimental touch to it. The way Sen uses images and sounds, the form of the film, is very striking from the very first shot on. It's the same director of cinematography, K.K. Mahajan, and the same music composer, Vijay Raghava Rao. Maybe most important though is the editing, how the film arranges all these wonderful shots, all those powerful close-ups, freeze frames and sometimes completely surreal moments. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the name of the editor. The IMDb page is actually pretty sparse, and even the runtime isn't right, because Interview is actually only about 80 minutes long, unless I saw some cut version, but it didn't seem that way. Like Bhuvan, it's a film that's more than 50 years old by now, and yet it feels so fresh and alive, and in a way also timeless. It's of course very much a window into that specific place and time, Kolkata in the early 70s, and that's so fascinating to see. And yet, with its themes of unemployment, consumerism, advertisement and East versus West, or colonialism and the consequences or after effects, it still rings super relevant even today. Interview is a wild, immensely fast and well-paced film that carries a certain anger, but it's also very playful and just very entertaining in its form or execution. It incorporates documentary-like material or actual real footage of actual events, like the dismantling of British-era statues. This was, after all, just 2 decades after India got its independence. It also incorporates images of the actual soundtrack, foreboding the actual job interview that happens later. It incorporates freeze frames, sometimes to dramatic effect, sometimes to comedic effect. There's also some small stop-motion segment highlighting the dilemma of our protagonist and his dire need of getting the expected outfit. We also get to see a lot of movie posters, different kinds of advertisements and a lot of small montages that are all pretty awesome. Like that segment in which our protagonist is trying to get a haircut and we just see all of these men getting trimmed. Or probably most famous, the segment on a tram, in which 2 people are recognizing our protagonist in the newspaper, and our protagonist then just breaks the fourth wall and opens up this meta element in which the actual film team apparently just follows him around as he is living his life. His mother though, that we just saw earlier, according to him, is played by an actress. which I of course immediately recognized from Ray's Pata Panchali and Apparatchito. And to make the connection more obvious, Mrinal Sen then just shows us a little moment from Pata Panchali. Again, the form of the film is very playful and very fun. But talking about our protagonist, in that fourth wall-breaking moment he introduces himself as Ranjit Mallick, and that is indeed the real name of the actor, and this marked his debut. He has now acted in more than 150 films and has become one of the most beloved actors of Bengali cinema. I have only seen him in one other film, Ray's late work Shaka Pro Shaka, aka The Branches of the Tree. Interview is one of those films that introduces a new face to the world of cinema, and you immediately know or understand why that young man or that young woman is so beloved. There's just something about Ranjit Mallick, just something about his face with those big expressive eyes and just the way he presents himself. It's almost impossible to take your eyes off him. Sure, his character can be a bit full of himself, especially in the beginning when he's interacting with his mother and sister, but that's nonetheless quite magnetic to watch, to be honest. And in the hands of Mrinal Sen, these short or crisp 80 minutes become such a fascinating little journey. One that is both lighthearted and wonderfully presented, but also meaningful and stimulating. And most of the time, it's both simultaneously. It's a film full of great little moments, montages and memorable characters. First, the sister and mother, then Ranjit's girlfriend Bulbul and their absolutely adoring back and forth about their plans for the future. Then there's his friend who has been without a job for quite some time now. He's so shrill and explosive, a real character. We also get a pretty fun encounter with a thief, and then towards the end all those important people in suits at the interview. Which brings me back to one of the main themes or topics of the movie. This absurd fixation on the customs of the former oppressors. And especially towards the end, Interview also becomes a pretty powerful and angry movie. But one that's nonetheless a pretty easy watch. So in German I'd say, Interview ist leichtfüßig und wuchtig zugleich. Verdammt amüsant und gleichzeitig bissig. Super inszeniert und die Ankündigung eines verdammt charismatischen Schauspielers in Ranjit Mallick. I give Interview 8 out of 10. It's more like 8.4, but I don't do that.
Darum.
Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Interview. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.